Watch This Is Us cast shares touching fan encounters. Did we actually get an expert opinion on Mr. Big's death? Abso-F-kin-lutely. Though we are still coping with the fact that Big Chris Noth is actually gone, or not, according to Ryan Reynolds, but we digress. News talk to cardiologist in. Past president of the LA County Medical Association Drive, Sion Roy to discuss whether or not Carrie Bradshaw, Sarah Jessica Parker could have saved her husband. In the first episode of the long-awaited Sex and the City reboot, and just like that, Carrie finds a partially conscious Big on the ground outside of the shower suffering from a heart attack. But instead of calling 911, she holds him and cries. Dr. Roy says that although it was a little unclear exactly what was going on because there was no real significant dialogue, Carrie should have called 911, run over, try to figure out what was wrong while the emergency services were on the way. And that's not all, as Dr. Roy notes that Carrie should begun chest compression when Big started to lose his pulse. Though Carrie could have been a bit more proactive, Dr. Roy explains that more likely than not, if we take this scenario at face value, he was probably going to die regardless. So, drop your pitchforks, folks. Not to mention, as Dr. Roy highlights, Big may have been able to call for help himself. Most heart attacks present with chest tightness, chest pains, and usually, though, people remain conscious and to some degree functional, the cardiologist says. And so I am not sure why he wouldn't be able to yell for Alex or reach for, presumably, his waterproof iPhone and get it because he clearly was conscious throughout that extended period of time. He continues, usually a heart attack doesn't render you to be immobile. Usually, your pain gets worse as you move if you're having a significant heart attack, but it doesn't usually immobilize you. Apparently, per Dr. Roy, the whole thing is a little unrealistic as it is a fictional television show after all. She walked in, he had been having that chest pain for presumably an hour or something like that, he comments, and then he collapsed or had his cardiac arrest right as she walked in, and it's just sort of very coincidental. The candidate for California State Assembly further adds, it's just hard to believe in this scenario that you wouldn't have found a way to call for some help in the middle of New York City. Nonetheless, Dr. Roy does not blame Carrie and Big for this tragic situation. I will say walking into something like that, obviously, it can stun people in. People do many different things, he says. I don't think you can blame somebody for what they do in that situation. Thus, the biggest takeaway from the episode. Carrie willingly ruined a pair of Manolo Blahnik heels to hold Big in the shower, and if that doesn't show how Moosh loves him, then nothing will. New episodes of And Just Like That arrive Thursdays on HBO Max.